All right, you're looking at Windows 10 Technical Preview, build 10041. Yes, that's beta software. What's not beta is Veeam Endpoint Backup. It's now generally available. This copy of Windows is so fresh, I haven't even turned on file extensions. There you go. So this is an executable, Veeam Endpoint Backup. And I will try to show you a fairly straightforward way to convince it to work on Windows 10, where it was not intended to work. Let me explain. I knew this would probably work if I got past the installer, because earlier betas of Windows 10 and earlier betas of Veeam Backup worked fine together. So here we go. The GA code that's free for anybody to download as of yesterday, April 14th. I'm double-clicking on it to install it. User access control comes up as expected, but here's what's not so expected. Okay. Current operating system not supported. So you think about it, and yeah, it's Veeam's way of saying we're not going to support a beta from Microsoft. Any number of things could go wrong, right? Fair enough. Still, that didn't keep me from being curious to try this code out to see if it works anyway. This is a physical ThinkPad you're looking at, by the way. So moving along, it's time to show you how to get past that error you just saw. I'm going to fire up the browser. The one it comes with should be fine. And I'm going to search for, oh boy. Okay, I'm going to search for 7-zip download. Even Bing finds it as the very first non-advertisement link. 7-zip, sorry, 7-zip.org. Okay. Here's the one we want. 64-bit MSI right there. Grab that and run it. I'm not recommending this in production. I'm not claiming Veeam or myself can support you in any way. I'm just showing you that it can be done. Okay? Hitting next, 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 install, yes. So 7-zip is extremely fast to install. Why do we want 7-zip? Let me show you. 7-zip will let me unpack this exe. So simply right-click, 7-zip, extract to this handy folder name it gave. Very quickly it's unpacked. Okay, big deal. Why would you want to do that? Well, here's the thing. With some persistence and trial and error, I discovered inside the folder it's created, you've got this redistribution folder, and you've got the endpoint code itself, and a wrapper for all of it that's called setup. But there's bad news about setup. It also fails. So what we want to do is go to the redistributables, go to the 64-bit folder, sort by date, so the oldest is on top. That's a prereq for the other two. And just double-click and install one MSI at a time. So what's happening here is we're manually giving Veeam Endpoint Backup the prerequisites, the 3 SQL Server Runtime Express Local Databases files it needs. That seem to be very light and don't seem to use up memory much at all that I can tell. Okay, I've got some screenshots to show that too. Number 2, accept, install, yes. Finish. And number 3. And finish. So I've rehearsed this next part of the procedure, which is the hardest part, in a virtual machine to test it until I got it right. It was easier to roll it back. But now I'm confident enough in the procedure to physically install Windows 10 on a physical laptop, Lenovo 261, and I'm ready to show you the cool part. So let's go up 2 levels and head on over to the endpoint folder. And here's the last piece, the MSI. Follow this exactly as I do, and you'll probably be okay. If you don't, you may never get it to work. That's kind of what happened to me. So carefully just double-click the MSI, the 64-bit MSI. You get this local administrator privileges required to install the product warning. Okay. And then you get a sneak peek at Veeam ending. All right. Next, right-click on the MSI and say, Troubleshoot Compatibility. Now, what I did was right-clicked in the MSI and you go to compatibility mode and tried all the settings. I couldn't get it to work. The only thing I got to work was this wizard sequence I'm about to finish showing you. So it finished doing its test. It says skip version check. That sounds cool. Stop looking at what OS you're installing on and pretend it's, I don't know, 8.1 or something. Now I click on test the program and I get the same error. Don't give up. Just click finish, next, and save these settings. That's not terribly intuitive because it didn't work, but you still want to save those settings. And then just click close. Here we go. The third time is the charm. Double left click to launch the same MSI for the third time. The same nasty thing comes up. Same finish comes up. Now watch and wait what happens. There you go. This is it. This is success. Right under your nose. I need the troubleshooter one more time. Launch the troubleshooter. Test the program. Boom. There it is. We now have a working install. How cool is that? So I don't even want to mess with that. I just want to finish the install. Accept the license. Next. Install. So there's other techniques to convince older programs to work, core flags, Orca, editing MSIs, but none of that was needed here. That's what I like about this method. The only third-party download we needed was 7-zip, so we could right-click an exe and make something out of it, a folder with stuff in it. That was about it, though, and that's a pretty darn safe, trusted, multi-decade product at this point. So yeah, this will be finished pretty soon. It's starting services now. Success. And you'll see it starting in the tray. So I click Finish here. Click Next. Save these settings. Sure, I don't really plan to run the installer again, though, because I already got it installed. Click Close. So here we are. Default installed Windows 10 with Veeam Endpoint running on it. So double-click to configure it. Let's back up the whole computer. Let's do it to a network share that's nice and fast. It's going to be an SSD in my case. If I click Populate, it'll give me a hint on how much space I have left and if I'm going to succeed on this. And yes, plenty of space. I'm going to leave everything at defaults for simplicity. Sure, 12:30 a.m. sounds good. And do you want to allow me to schedule that? Yes. Run job when I finish. That's it. Now we might want to unhide things. There it is, right? So for the navigation area, we can go ahead and say, let's show everything for the purposes of a demo like this. That'd be a nifty idea. All right, now you can see all the pieces of Windows 10 that are running, including Defender and Veeam. I happen to have Task Manager going here too, so you get an idea of what it's doing and when. Or if you really want to Much better look. How about I just double click it? And there's the Veeam UI. The UI is now doing its thing, showing you progress as the backup proceeds. And you know what? While it's backing up, I can create recovery media. So I've stuck a USB key in there, and we can make use of this handy button that's reminding you, hey, there's something you haven't done. So why not take care of that during this backup? All right, I stuck a USB key in, it immediately detected it. And it's going to need reformatting because right now it had Windows 10 installer on there. Include hardware drivers from this computer for Ethernet? Yeah. Format the USB? Sure. And there it goes. So it finished up, and creating the recovery media, because it's USB 2.0 on an old laptop, took a little longer than normal. Also, you would normally have a wizard reminding you up front after you install Veeam to create recovery media. But remember, we kind of sidestepped the normal install routine doing our unique approach. Now that we've created the recovery media, the warning up here about recovery media did go away. So that's it. I'm convinced it's working well. Now, what about a second backup? Let's just see how long that is. And then finally a restore from the recovery media. Okay, so I'll kick off a second backup now, and we'll resume the video when it's complete. Well, that was rather fast. 2 minutes, 27 seconds on a physical laptop that's 8 years old. That ain't bad for the daily backup time. Of course, not much or nothing changed really. So what we can do now is put a little document on the desktop to convince you when I roll back this machine that it really did do something. Okay, so what we have here is, this is what the local screen looks like on it. All right, so that means you will see me power cycle this laptop. It's warning me it's going to bump remote users off. Yeah, I knew that. And now it's rebooting. Now I'm going to try to get it so you see the BIOS boot screen, the Lenovo BIOS, where I have to select the boot device. Okay, you'll see the ThinkPad screen. I hit F12. So preparing boot devices or looking for boot devices, something to that effect. Now I just down arrow my way to the SAN disk that I'm booting from. Of course, if you have Dell, HP, Acer, they're all going to have different key sequences to get into that alternate boot sequence. Bare metal recovery I chose with the mouse. Bottom right corner says build 10041. So the PE, the Windows PE environment it built was from Windows 10, which I find pretty cool. All right, we're using network storage. Found the Ethernet. That's good. Shared folder. That's what I used, yes. Found the network share. And now we're going to pick the crazy Windows made-up host name that it chose for Windows 10 beta. Just click next. Okay, do we want the increment or the full? Let's go with the full, the first one, to rewind it in time to before that shortcut was on the desktop. Entire computer, sounds good to me. Attempting to auto-match disk. This is where partitioning comes in. And then finally restore. Okay, we just let it rip and walk away until it's finished. Okay, it finished. That was fast. 4.5 minutes or so. Wow. Of course, I don't have much data on there, but still, even if I had, well, it gives you an idea. Very reasonable restore times. So if we click Finish, we have the ability to reboot now. So I'm popping out the USB flash drive, and we'll watch this thing come up. And we're back in action. And you'll notice the icon from the desktop is missing. So that means all the services are started. All right, and we're around to before we've created backup media. So you can actually just clear that message. Makes sense. And do another backup. It doesn't show backups. That makes sense, though, because we've rewinded to before it had finished its first backup. I tested this before, that you click backup now, and it does work for the second backup. It does a differential. And it does it extremely quickly. Yeah, why not do it now? And then look at the file system on the file share. This is what it looks like. Sort by date. There's a file it just wrote. And it clearly labels the files. Full backup versus differential. So you can kind of see what's going on there. Okay, it finished very quickly. It's definitely a differential backup, not a full. Small. And it worked. How about we restore file now? Say yes to user access control. And you'll see that restoring a file is rather easy and way faster than what I'm used to. Let's restore a 174 meg file. Let's copy it too. I want to move it to a different directory. Make it obvious. On the desktop sounds good to me. And yeah, it's very fast. No issues with rehydrating that one file out of the archive. So that's it. It all worked. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for visiting tinkertry.com, where your comments are always greatly appreciated. Please do leave a comment. Thank you.